Take a moment and look behind you. No, not at the person standing behind you. Look at yourself. There is something your body does not have. Every dog has one. Every cat has one. Monkeys use it to keep their balance while moving through trees. Kangaroos use it like a third leg. Even a tiny mouse is born with one. But you are not. Humans are mammals, just like these animals, yet we have no tail. It seems so normal that most of us never stop to ask why. But here's the surprising truth. Long before humans existed, your ancestors really did have tails. Not just a small tail. They had a fully developed tail with bones, muscles, nerves, and blood vessels. It stretched well behind their bodies. So what happened? Why did it disappear? The real question is not whether humans once had tails. Fossils, genetics, human embryo development, and comparisons with other animals all point to the same answer. Our ancestors really had tails. The bigger mystery is this: why did evolution remove something that almost every other mammal still has? And once you understand the answer, you will realize that losing the tail may have been one of the most important changes in human evolution. Because if it had never happened, you might not be able to sit in a chair the way you do today. You might walk differently, and humans may never have become the species we are now. To understand this story, we have to go back much further than the first humans. Not thousands of years, not even millions, around 25 million years ago. At that time, the forests of Africa looked very different. They were thick, green, and stretched for miles. High in the trees lived small ape-like animals. They spent almost their entire lives climbing trees, jumping from branch to branch and moving all day. For them, a tail was not just another body part. It was an important tool for survival. Most mammals use their tails to keep balance. A tail made every jump safer and every landing more stable. Some monkeys can even wrap their tails around branches, like an extra hand. If you have ever seen a squirrel running along a thin wall or a power line, you know how useful a tail can be. For animals living high in trees, falling was not just painful, it was often deadly. That is why tails remained a very useful feature for millions of years. But then something unusual happened. One group of ancient ape-like animals began following a different path. About 20 to 25 million years ago, according to scientists, the common ancestors of modern apes appeared. From these ancestors later came orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, gibbons, and finally humans. There is one interesting thing that every living ape shares. None of them has a tail. This is a very important clue. It tells us that humans did not lose their tails after becoming human. The tail disappeared much earlier, in the common ancestor that later gave rise to all apes. But why? Scientists searched for this answer for many years. One idea is that apes slowly changed the way they moved. They became bigger and heavier. Instead of running on thin branches, they climbed tree trunks. They used their powerful arms to swing and hang from branches. Their shoulders became more flexible. Their bodies became wider. Their balance also changed. In this new lifestyle, a long tail was no longer as useful. In some situations, it may even have become a disadvantage. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack. Now imagine a long wooden stick tied to the back of that backpack. Try walking through a narrow space, turning around, or climbing upward. Everything becomes harder. Natural selection works in a similar way. If a body part is no longer useful, it does not disappear overnight. But if it costs energy to grow and maintain and provides little benefit, then over many generations, natural selection may favor individuals who do not need it. Many scientists believe this is what happened with the tail. It slowly became less useful, and over millions of years, evolution allowed it to disappear. But this raises another question. If the tail was no longer needed, how did the body stop making it? What changed? The answer was hidden inside our DNA. In recent years, scientists have learned much more about it. A major scientific study published in 2024 gave researchers an important clue. They compared the genes of tailed monkeys with those of tailless apes. Among thousands of genes, they found one that stood out. It is called the TBXT gene, also known as the Brachyury gene. You do not need to remember the name, just remember what it does. During the early development of an embryo, this gene helps build the spine and the lower part of the body. Researchers discovered that apes have a unique genetic change in this gene. The change is very small, but its effects are huge. A tail begins to develop, but it stops growing before it becomes fully formed. Just one small genetic change. And over millions of years, the body shape of an entire group of animals changed. So what is the short answer to this story? Humans did not lose their tails because tails were bad. They lost them because, as our ancestors' bodies and lifestyle changed, tails slowly became unnecessary. Over millions of years, natural selection allowed them to disappear. That is why, even today, a human embryo starts to grow a small tail. Your tailbone is the last visible reminder of it, and your DNA still carries the history. Sometimes the biggest success of evolution is not gaining something new. It is letting go of something that is no longer needed. And perhaps, losing the tail was one of the changes that helped shape the human story. Now tell me, if humans still had tails today, what do you think would be the biggest difference in our daily lives? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy learning about the human body and evolution, don't forget to subscribe.